Welcome to another episode of K-Thugs Community Square. I'm Heather Polen, and today we are holding the microphone for Harbor Commissioner Annie Nehmer. And you're here today as a member of the community and not as a Harbor Commissioner, but that's your regular day job. So I appreciate you coming in today and talking about the importance of community involvement and participating in politics, regardless of party, and the different things, even in a non-presidential year. But I would be a little bit remiss if I didn't address, before we go into talking about the different things with you as a private citizen, if I didn't ask you a question as a Harbor Commissioner first. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. Would you mind explaining the censure and that effects on your ability to serve the community as a Harbor Commissioner?
Sure. The censure was essentially a dog and pony show to try to get me to stop talking and reaching out to other government agencies, trying to gain information while being stonewalled through requests from staff. Other commissioners didn't like me asking questions, so they did the censure to try to get me to stop asking questions. They didn't actually follow the bylaws to make the censure happen, and I had enough evidence to refute their claims. But when you have the minority vote on the board, you get to lose.
So as the only woman on the board, they voted to take your voice away.
They tried to take my voice away.
Okay, well, clearly you're right. We've got now your voice has a microphone. What was the effect on the censure for you? Are you still able to ask questions? Are you still able to have a voice on the commission? I don't understand what the censure, the ramifications of that vote to censure you is.
Well, the initial ramifications were pretty emotionally straining. Coming from a citizen just wanting the best for the harbor and seeing a path forward to making it a better place. That's all I started out doing, was fighting to make our harbor a better place. And I was quickly met with resistance. I'm still not sure totally why, but it did have a huge ramification on my family initially, the emotional toll. I wish I could have just left it at the harbor, but I did take it home, and everyone felt it for a while. As far as reaching out to public agencies, it did work for a while. I did stop reaching out. I did stop asking questions until recently. And then I realized through supportive community members reaching out to me and telling me it's part of my job to reach out and ensure that decisions we're making or policies that are in place are it's still my job to make sure that I'm following fiduciary duty and asking questions and ensuring that policies that are set out there are in effect. Or, for instance, I went to Coastal Commission one day and spent all day gathering documents just to see if or what was gone through Coastal Commission. The board gave me permission to do that. I believe I advised them I was doing it. I don't remember the details. But other ones was reaching out to USDA again to find out what trajectory we're at, where we're at. I've asked harbor staff for updates for emails.
And the USDA, that's the loan for that we have to keep paying on.
Correct. That's the loan that the TOT tax pays for and funds. The money that's been sitting there, it's funded. We should have paid it September 1.
The TOT tax is the transient occupancy tax, right? That we did the extra 2% to help pay off that USDA loan.
Correct.
Okay.
And the independent consultant we hired made the decision to not pay that loan. And then
The Sandy Moreno,
correct.
Okay.
And then the board later backed that up. But even the chair went outside the board bylaws and went and spoke with the Fish Association and got a letter from the Fish Association without board approval and sent it without board approval. But that was acceptable. However, me reaching out as an individual just to ensure policies are being upheld or conversations are happening was bad.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's a lot. So Sandy Moreno is the independent consultant who does the bookkeeping.
Correct.
Okay, so it's my understanding she's not an actual accountant, she's a bookkeeper.
She's a bookkeeper.
Okay.
And we have staff. Christina Hanks does most of the bookkeeping. She's great at it. She's been hampered a little But otherwise, she's, at least in my opinion, perfectly competent at doing her job well.
Okay. And I'm not trying to downplay the effects that the censure and that vote had on you or your family. I guess what I'm asking for is, because that's bad enough, right? It's like being bullied at school kind of a thing. It just psychologically, and then it did affect for a short time your willingness to put your neck back out there and then to go back and do your fiduciary responsibilities, as you said. What was the legal ramifications of that, of being censured?
There's no legal ramifications of being censured. It is just a dog and pony show that wasted public time and taxpayer money. Each one of the commissioners is paid $600 a month to do our job. And so wasting meeting time and staff time is just that. It's a waste.
There was no legal ramifications. You don't have to like take a class to do a thing.
Nothing.
So it was bullying.
It is. It was the ultimate form of bullying. You will report to the office at this time and face my jury. I'm the judge and jury, and you will face me, and that's it. And the public shaming that may or may not come with it.
Wow.
And then there's nothing that
there's
put
no you and your
it.
family all through that for nothing, for no ramification, nothing. There was no legal ramification or saying that your behavior is wrong and you need to correct it. They just did it to embarrass you, cause you public shame, and then try to control your voice and what you will or will not do.
Well, they had to have evidence that proved that I did something wrong, and my evidence refuted them and disproved everything the then chair was saying. I was doing my job. The other chair board members were not. They weren't asking questions. They still don't ask questions. And either way, if we have another censure, there is no consequence. So I did the same. They censured me. I submitted evidence per our bylaws to our legal counsel to censure them for real violations of the bylaws, for each individual commissioner reaching out to make decisions for the board. So the deal is, as a commissioner, you can't reach out and make decisions for the board. You can ask questions, just not decisions. For instance, you can't reach out to the sheriff's office and say, sure, we can lease you that building without the board's consent. You can't reach out to a fish association and say, let's write this letter per the board.
But would you be able to reach out to the sheriff's office and say, hey, why do you want to lease this building? I don't understand what purpose you have with why you put in this request.
Sure. Or, hey, we're looking at leasing this building out. It should be coming up soon. Hopefully, the U.S. Coast Guard will be signing over that deed very shortly. Are you interested, or should we pursue a different avenue? Maybe Department of Fish and Wildlife would prefer it.
So you can't negotiate, make the deal, and then sign off on it, but you can call them up and ask questions.
You could ask questions. You could ask if the county, is it in the budget? I mean, really, the harbor master should be doing that, but if not, then hopefully other commissioners will step up and start asking questions.
You
could ask questions and ask for public records. Did you pay rent previously when you were at that building? Or what was your rent at the other building, the old sheriff's building behind DDOC? What was that rent? I could ask those questions.
Okay. Well, that makes sense, right? Because you would have to gather up all of the information to be able to do any aspect of that job as a public official.
I should be able to ask any question that a member of the public is asking.
Right? And then you should, I'm flabbergasted and trying not to be incredibly irritated by the fact that they did this, one, to the only woman on the board, because you were asking questions, or on the commission, I shouldn't say, not the board, the only woman on the commission, and just to cause emotional and mental stress for you and your family to control you're asking questions. I
think the ultimate goal was to get me to step down because I'm asking too many questions. Yeah. And there's other people in the background wanting their seat back.
Yeah, it always, geez. I'm trying to like process and not make this all about your role as harbor commissioner, because again, as I stated at the beginning, you're here as a private citizen, but you're still a harbor commissioner. So I wanted to ask and get clarification on that. And it's my understanding that the only public officials, elected officials that have ever been censured in Del Norte County are both women.
They are women indeed.
Who ask questions.
And the only ones that don't get appointed to chair positions are women as well.
Right. Yeah. It's just, right. You can be vice chair. You can be mayor pro tem, but no.
But you can't be the chair of the supervisors.
Right. And you can't be the actual mayor, and you can't be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What is it?
We speak up too much, I guess.
Chairman of the Harbor Commission. Yeah. We ask too many questions.
I guess.
Oh
but,
my gosh.
I mean, it's hard to not bring it back, because my private life is the harbor.
That's right. So you're a fisherwoman.
We all are actually just fishermen. It's a blanket term.
Right. I'm going back to the bowling alley. It's the fishermen's wives, and they were fisherwomen for the bowling-y things.
Oh,
and
interesting.
Yeah. So I was just like, there's a word. There's the word. Right. But your family's the fishing family.
We're a fishing family.
How long have you, are we talking generationally? Are we talking you and your husband?
Well, I married into it. I mean, if you wanted to go down the heritage road, we can go back to the Viking era, of course. And my family's castle is situated right at the mouth of a river in another country, right?
Well, there you go. So forever. You're descended. It's in your bones. But here in Del Norte County, you married in.
I married in. He is third generation. We now have 4 generations of fishermen in our family. And so, yes, it's a passion. I was married into it, and it was a choice.
Yeah.
I had to accept fishing as part of my future in order to get married.
Well, it's an honorable profession. It's a difficult profession.
You're feeding. That's, I think, the most rewarding part about it is we are feeding. We're providing food for others.
Yeah.
And sustainably.
Right. And always that disconnect that we have between fishermen and farmers. Like, farmers feed the world. Well, what do you think fishermen do? You yahoos?
Yeah.
Right. But we'll put the cattle ranchers and those types of things. We'll put that all into farming and agriculture, and that is gratitude and amazing, and the hard work. And we get Paul Harvey to do stories on the virtues of farmers, and then it's fishermen. It's like,
We could blame the feds a little. We fall under different departments. There's the Department of Agriculture, and then NOAA falls under the Department of Commerce. So we don't actually fall under the Department of Ag. Sometimes they put us in there, but when it comes to a lot of the legislation and legal bills or funding, it's through Department of Commerce. That's where they put NOAA.
Wow. Geez. I never associated that would be the reason why.
I don't know if that's why Paul Harvey talks differently, or is it because we just affect small areas and ranches span the breadth of our country?
Yeah, and it's more visible.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I just go to the store and pick up fish and crab and, mussels, and I could go to the restaurant and I get clam chowder. Right, but I can go to Ocean Air Farms and I can see the crops. I can grow things in my backyard. I mean, like we were talking before while I was setting up the stuff about the gardens and the things that we have growing and things. So I think it's just easier too as individuals, as people, to make that connection between farming versus fishing.
And if you live in the interior, the chances that you're getting fresh fish or tasty, not funky smelling fish get lower by the day.
Right. And if you grow up in the harbor, if you grow up fishing, if you grow up with your family or friends that fish and give you fresh crab, right, it's not fresh crab if it's been there for 6 hours. It's like, no, that's gross.
It wasn't crawling on my patio. I'm not eating it.
Right.
And if you go into a restaurant, you can smell it, and it's probably not fresh, and I might not order it.
It's just the weirdest thing when you have that every day, and it's. So do you eat a lot of fish in your family?
Regularly, 2-3 meals a week.
Wow.
We also have canned tuna, so fishing albacore in the summer. And as a child, my sister used to crack a can of bumblebee tuna and chase me around the house with it. I thought the smell was so terrible I couldn't.
Right. I grimaced when you said that you hate canned tuna. You're talking about home canned tuna.
So now I eat home canned tuna regularly, all the time. We have a supply of it. But as a child, buying the cheap stuff off the shelf to feed your family.
That's gross.
It's gross. And I knew the smell was gross. I just didn't understand until you get into the fishing community why one tuna at the health food store costs $10 a can and the stuff at the regular grocery store is so much cheaper, and why. And it's that it's locally caught, it's sustainable, it's a lot of so like when we come to bring the fish home, we're caught, we bleed them, they're put on ice, they're packed gently so you don't bruise them. You're handling your fish with care to make sure it's fresh when it gets in that can and not shipped across the ocean before it gets processed and frozen and thawed and brought back.
So your family is providing food for people and not canned cat food, is what you're saying.
Something like that, yeah. So we take pride in handling all of our, you want the crab to have all of its legs on it, so you have to chill them. We chill them just to keep them happier so they aren't ripping legs off of each other.
Wait, so when you were talking, I can hear the pride in your voice, but I can see it on your face as well, that you genuinely take pride in what you serve to people.
Definitely. I think it just flows through from my husband. He takes immense pride in delivering a quality product to anyone and everyone. So if you are getting a product from our boat, it's grade A. And if it's not grade A, he's down there fixing or assessing something immediately so that it is.
Wow.
So it's, shooting for sushi grade every time. And that's what my daughter loves. You bring the salmon in and he's filleting it right there in front of her and she's eating it right off the carcass.
Wow.
Yeah, good for her.
Right. I'm just, I can hear my mother in there going, you have to cook that.
That's kind of my thoughts as well, but she loves it fresh.
That is very fresh. I'm just thinking there's parasites, there's this, there's that, but yeah.
Yeah.
I guess you would be able to see it when it's that fresh too, and be able to tell if the flesh isn't intact, that there's something you shouldn't be eating in there.
Well, we hope, but
right. That's just amazing. And so how old is your daughter that she's out there working with Dad?
She's now 11.
Oh my gosh.
But she's been eating sushi since we have pictures when she was 2.
Jeez.
You get the FDA or whoever saying when you're pregnant, don't eat, and maybe there's some merit to not eating swordfish or these really large fish that have been eating other fish, accumulating toxins over years and years. But albacore or crab, a lot of the fish you're eating isn't very old.
Yeah.
So it hasn't accumulated those toxins. They also, the association, a lot of the albacore fishermen here on the coast sell to, does testing every year of the meat. So the mercury is much lower than the media likes to portray. Fish also have selenium in it, which buffers the mercury if there's always a little bit, but they have the other minerals in their body that buffer the toxic minerals.
Sheesh. Okay, right. So when we started this, we're going to talk about essentially politics and the importance of community engagement and all of the other things. And I think this is why it is to have conversations are so important. We have completely gone right off the rails with that topic and talking about these things that affect fishing and the way we eat, agriculture versus fishing and all of those other things. So I would like to kind of stick with this a little bit and ask you what challenges are being faced with our fishermen and with fishing families.
Most of the challenges are regulations and over-regulations. So her current crab fleet is subject to Crab Task Force, the whale working group, and
for those of us who are not in this world, what is the Crab Task Force and the whale working group? And right, I mean, like, do we just go out there with orcas and give them laptops? What is this thing?
It's a group of of individuals who come together to try to set policy to protect whales. They also threw in a sea turtle in there, even though we haven't caught one. But, just in case you might catch one, we'll throw it in there.
Is this just off of the California coast? Is it off of the coast all the way into Canada to Alaska? Is this all oceans?
No, there's a tri-agency. So the tri-agency portion is Washington, Oregon, and California.
Okay.
Alaska has it dialed in. If we wanted to follow an example of how to support for commercial fishing families and recreational fishing, you would follow Alaska's example, or even Canada. But we get NGOs and people funded to fight fishing, even though in the United States it is extremely sustainable. At one point in the 70s there was some overfishing, but it has corrected course. And of course, anyone, in my opinion, in the industry now wants it to be sustainable, because that's also your future. The next generation needs fish.
So it's not just the eating of the fish for the next generation, right? Because we all want to have our fried shrimp and our fish and chips and do the whole thing. You're talking about the next generation. Is this because agriculture is struggling with finding new farmers and people who want to stay on the family farm? Do fishing families have that same issue? Or are we losing our kids that don't want to become fishermen in the fishing families? Or is it like, are your kids going to take over the boat and do the same thing? Or are they like, nope, I'm done?
Well, my son is going to take over. I know there's at least 3 other families that I'm friends with that are going to take over, all young children. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, actually, if I think about it, you just look around and you can see it. It's multi-generational with a lot of families in our port. There's some work with the school districts to bring curriculum back in to actually educate high school kids to be able to do some of the basics on the vessel and with handling fish, so that tying rope, just so they know how to do it when they go walk the docks trying to get a job, so that there is future for our local economy as well. I'm not sure where those programs, if they've actually taken off yet, or if they're still in the planning stages.
Okay, so like a CTE program at the high school for fishing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Josh Mims was working on that, and then his budding family started, and I'm not sure where that program has if it's stalled out since he's not hands-on anymore. I'd have to look into that.
Okay. Right, that's exciting to, again, right, we know nationally that farming families, their children don't want to take over the family farm, so they either have to sell it to somebody else, or the kids have to figure out what to do with the property in probate because they're not doing it.
Well, one of the issues is that when they put in permits, it increases the value of the permit. It creates a value. So when you have open access, you can go out and buy a permit and go fishing, and that's fantastic. That means everyone can do that for a small fee. You have to have a boat and a fishing pole, but if you have to have a fishery where there's a permit, it really bottlenecks access and the ability to fish. And so now some of that, and you hear some of the complaint about the industry, is that the fisheries where you have to have a permit are getting harder and harder to get in because it's expensive. And that's nationally. Most fisheries are now permitted. So there is an expense to getting in. So having it multi-generational is also really beneficial, because you're being gifted, or you're learning the trade, you're carrying on the passion, you're feeding the nation, but also it's really hard to get into some of the fisheries. I guess it's just like trying to buy a home in the state of California these days.
Yeah, it's dang near impossible. It really is a difficult thing. So just so I can understand, because I'm not from a fishing family. So that fishing permit for that fishery stays with like the fishing business, or so like if I had one and I am 6th generation, did that get passed down to me and then I can pass that permit down to my descendants? Or is it the business I'm passing down and it's owned by the business, so if I wanted to sell it to the neighbor kid, because none of my kids want to do it?
It depends on the permit.
Okay.
So they all have different parameters within each fishery. Each permit has different parameters based on the guidelines CDFW has set out. Some of them they want to decrease. Some of them, when you buy them, are transferable. Some are non-transferable. So it's really, there's a whole legal political train around that. But 15 years ago, you used to be able to buy a commercial Dungeness crab permit and go out there and commercially crab permit.
How much was that 15 years ago? Do you remember?
I have no idea.
I don't either.
But you could do it. I could do it. Your neighbor could do it. And then they introduced permits, and they permitted. There was a big formula on the tiers and how they did it, but they made it limited entry. So now there are only so many permits. So now if you want to go commercially crab fish, you have to go get a permit in order to do that. So if you don't have the money to do that, then you would become crew, or you would go to the bank and get a loan, or you just can't go to CDFW and buy a permit.
That high of a price that you have to get a loan to pay for the entry into commercial crab fishing.
Yes.
Wow.
It's not like it used to be, but yeah, you still, on a lot of them, you would need either a nice savings account or investor or a loan.
Wow. So, but that's frustrating. That benefits corporations, food corporations, to own these boats, own the crews, own all of the other, to own the whole supply chain, and to knock out our families from doing this.
Well, a lot of the intent, I think, initially, I guess it's hard to know in politics what true intent is, because what you see on the surface isn't always what's happening underneath. Or my experience in politics, it's usually not what's happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, I'm going to go with your experience thus far in politics. It's not been fun. No? Sorry.
No, it has not been fun. And it's often what's not happening behind the scenes. You know, what they're saying at the table is just a shell of the conversation behind the door.
Wow.
But with crab fishing, when they first started it, there was this push for restricting the number of pots people could have. And when they created this permit structure and this permit tier, it actually ended up increasing the number of pots in the water, not decreasing it. When they gave everyone a pot limit, they said, you all get commercial crab permits, and this is the number of pots you get. Everyone said, well, shit, I better go use my number of pots right now. And so the guys that had too many just had a yard full of them, and the guys that didn't have enough went out. And so suddenly, instead of, okay, this is what I can afford to fish this year, or this is what I have crew to fish, or this is how much bait or fuel I can afford, it was like, this is the number of pots I was given, so this is what I'm going to use. And now they're trying to figure out how to reduce the number of pots. They put more pots in the water, and now they want to reduce the number of pots.
Jeez. And by they, you mean like regulators?
CDFW. They're the ones who set the
CFW
regulation.
is?
California Department of Fish and Wildlife.
Okay.
So they set the regulation. Their pressure, they get an immense amount of pressure from NGOs.
And NGOs are non-governmental agencies.
Yeah, these environmental agencies. I know they've done some great work in the past of pushing for sustainability, loving the environment, and that's fantastic. But at some point, you have to go, okay, we've done our job. Now we're just causing chaos.
Right. And that's, there has to be a balance. In my opinion, there needs to be a balance of, right, because we don't want all of this rope out there where you can't surf and it's coming in. We're getting stranded whales that are tied up in the rope from fishing and blah, 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 to say there's rules, regulations, and you can't do this. We don't want a whole bunch of plastic and trash and all this other stuff out there. So we don't want the fishermen taking their household garbage and just going to dump it in the ocean so it washes back up on our beaches. So I get, like, let's have some rules. But it seems to me, like, from what you're saying, that some of these rules actually cause the harm that they were trying to prevent. With, we need to reduce the number of pots, but we're going to do it this way. So now you have way more pots.
That's exactly what happened. And the notion is that the guys are just throwing their trash, but you can ask the harbor their bill and how much they enjoy paying for dump fees every month.
I was just using that as an example.
Yeah, well, the ocean eats up metal, but it doesn't eat up plastic. When we're out there, we're picking up the Mylar balloons and...
Right. It's kind of like when people talk about all of the trash in our homeless encampments. And I just have to remind people, like, I'm telling you right now, that homeless person with no vehicle did not go pick up 3 chest freezers and 6 washing machines to drag out to where they live. They didn't do that. That's called illegal dumping. Stop Stop doing these things, right? And we release mylar balloons and latex balloons to remember our loved ones or whatever it is, without any thought or concern where they're going to end up when that comes down.
Yeah, and we're stewards of the ocean as well. So when we're out there, we're picking up trash and bringing it in.
So
at least our family. I can't speak to everyone else.
You can't speak to everyone else, and that was where I was kind of going. How many other families do you think have that same sense of pride and take that same sense of stewardship of the ocean when they're out there doing these things? Are you unique in this, or is this the majority of you feel this way?
Oh, with my tiny college education, I'd refer to Pareto and do it's probably an 80-20.
But 80-20 with the pride? Or
with the pride.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Because if it's the other way, it's kind of like, oh, then you are an outlier.
Well, unfortunately, the education I got on a fishing community came through my television growing up. As a Midwesterner, I grew up in Montana mostly. And so all of my coastal knowledge came from the TV.
Gilligan's Island?
Gilligan's Island. David Attenborough.
I'm going to go with don't take the 3-hour tour with you and your family if your fishing knowledge and ocean knowledge came from Gilligan.
I just got thrown into the fishing life, and what I learned is the TV's not accurate.
It's not accurate. I have a family member who says he learned to speak English from Green Acres. And when I believe he came at 13 or 14 to the States. And I was just like, but you speak better English than I do. And they're like, well, yeah. No accent from Zsa Zsa Gabor or anything. It's pretty amazing what we can learn from the television, but no, it's not accurate.
It's not accurate. Nope.
Yeah, he definitely thought all farmers were rich.
Nope. Well, that's it. I mean, I think all farmers are rich. All fishermen are rich. If you're doing what you love, you say you can see it on my face. It's that my soul is rich in doing the things that we love. It's filling your cup. But the bank account's a whole different story.
So when I was a kid in high school, it was, I'm trying to say this in a nice way. It was feast or famine, right? It was, it's fishing season, it's doing this, or we've got another 3 or 4 weeks for crab season, so I can't go to the movies until crab season, or we're still waiting for whatever it is. But when the money was flowing, it was flowing. Mm-hmm. Is it still that way to where you're getting all of your annual income in one big chunk or 2 big chunks, and then you have to budget? Is that still a thing, or is it enough now if you're fishing, you can get a steady paycheck every month or a weekly kind of a thing? How does that work?
No, it is still feast or famine.
Okay.
Luckily, the seasons, like the beginning of crab season, you get your feast. And then as long as you can keep going out, you can scrape by and pay fuel and bait and the crew. So everyone's getting a paycheck a little bit. But no, it's still feast or famine. So, June, July, that's why most fishermen have more than one fishery. On one fishery, how do you pay the bills the other half of the year? Or crab fishing used to be November, December through July. And now that the season's probably...
It doesn't start in December anymore.
It doesn't start in December. So here you're looking at January through April.
Wow.
Or this year, the second opener wasn't until February. February through... the season's pretty much done now, just because there's not much catch left. But...
why did it go from December to July until now? Sometimes we don't even have one.
Well, some of it's regulation. They're looking for domoic acid. And again, I'm in opposition. So crab can have domoic acid in them. So if you're eating the jiggly, googly butter and you eat a whole bunch of that butter out of crab, you might get toxic. And they've had a couple cases that are correlated in history to it. So they're going to keep testing. And if that level of domoic acid isn't below the state threshold, then it doesn't pass. And there were years where the lab was backed up and refused to allow the California crab to be sent to the Oregon crab to be processed quickly. So you're being delayed another week because California must process California crab, even though it's still a scientific lab that should give you the same results. But more importantly is measuring the weight of the crab. So they do a pick out and you have to They measure the volume of meat in a crab. So that's a set number that hasn't changed over time, and it should always be a certain weight. So you're not going out there to harvest a crab that's 20%. So if you crack open a leg and it's like half empty, the crab's not up to weight. You want a full leg of meat.
Okay.
So part of the delays are when the crab is light or underweight. It's actually a pick count.
Okay. So like, should we just go out there and fatten them up? Just get them some pre-butter?
So, so that's all, That's,
we pre-butter the crabs and make them gain some weight?
Grow some plankton, little sun. Stop seeding the clouds.
Give them some Krabby Patties.
Yeah. You go catch the mackerel and grind it up and feed the... No, I don't know.
Gross. It is, when you think about it, it is gross because they're mostly cannibals and scavengers. But so damn tasty.
They're saucy.
And they're really good.
I prefer spring crab. I think they're a little sweeter.
Huh. Yeah, I'm not that privileged that I would know the difference. But now that we're besties, I would like to be so privileged that I would know the difference between a not sweet crab and a sweet crab in the spring.
I'm not that privileged this year. There's just no crab right now.
Is that like being on a farm where the spring lambs are really good and to have the suckling pig?
Yeah, exactly. I get first pick. First pick isn't always good. It's the beginning crab. I actually don't know the difference in what they feed on right before the fall, but I prefer corn-fed beef to grass-fed, I must admit. So it's like I prefer spring crab over fall crab or winter crab.
Nice. I prefer the grass-fed beef.
But
I'm not so privileged that I often recognize the difference.
I do recognize the difference. We couldn't afford corn-fed beef growing up. Maybe there's the difference. We had to eat that cow on our pasture.
There you go.
Not yummy grass.
Grow better grass.
Right.
So I grew up, my dad was I think we call them pastry chefs, but he was a baker. He was trained to do European bakery. And that's what we had. And so I'm privileged and snobby when it comes to baked goods oftentimes. So yeah, that's where I'm like, that's been frozen. I won't touch that.
Oh,
I can make that better at home. Thank you. I don't actually say that, but yeah, my brother Jason, he was so funny. If you put bread in the freezer, he knew, and he wouldn't even eat a peanut butter and jelly if the bread had been frozen.
Wow. Yeah,
he was totally a baking snob. Yeah, so that's kind of funny. But I'm seriously, now that we're besties, I want you to explain to me that like this is the fall crab and this is the spring crab. Do you remember? And I'll just be like, no, we need to do it again next year.
Yeah. Do you know the difference between the ling flavor and the black flavor?
No, but I would like to. So I would offer to bring the butter from Rumiano's, but it seems like they're having some difficulties there.
I know.
Yeah.
That's going to be a sad.
I don't even think I can call it Rumiano's anymore. I'm just going to start calling it Centauri so I can just be angry at them because I love the Rubiano family.
Yeah, curds, farewell.
Right. Now, what is going on at Seaquake? Because it's on their menu that they have Job's the curds, but they say that they have the Rumiano curds and they're no longer making them.
Maybe they got a lock on the market.
No, I don't think they're offering it at all. It's just sad.
It is really sad.
I love Rumiano's, right? I love Rumiano's. I'm not a fan of Centauris.
Yeah, there hasn't been butter in our fridge from them for a while.
A long
it's
time.
A bummer.
And it was so good.
We used to have like this steady supply. It would even mold once in a while. You have to like scrape off the mold.
Oh my gosh. Like how did it last long enough to mold?
I don't know. We just used the butter from the crab. I'm kidding.
You were buying it by the case.
Yeah, we buy a lot of Rumianos. They, unfortunately, I have to be gluten free, which is a bummer in my life. But Rumiano's cheese is gluten free. So
all cheese is gluten free.
No.
Oh, that's true because they make it all with weird fillers and stuff now. So
anything that's shredded, a lot of them have the flour to keep the shreds apart, and Rumiano's didn't. So we would buy it in bulk.
Jeez.
And now I guess we better read the labels again.
Grate your own cheese.
Yeah, you know.
All the conveniences that we have now.
Yeah.
That is so funny. We went from crab to cheese.
You put some cheese on my crab, Louie.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, so we'll have to get together and do recipes. I'll have to figure out how to do things for you with that are gluten-free.
Well, one of my favorites, actually, why I like to pick the crab is for a crab omelet in the morning with some cheddar cheese and hollandaise. That's my favorite.
There you go. That sounds amazing. So, bestie, these are experiences I would like to have.
Or you can bribe my mother-in-law for her macadamia nut crusted rockfish. There you go. It's the ultimate.
Oh, can I have her contact information?
It's private.
The recipe or the information?
Both. It's proprietary.
Does she will she sell if she makes it? I will buy it. That just sounds like I'm like drooling over here. Excuse me.
It's so hard to get her to make it because it's labor intensive. It's like bribery. It's my birthday. Please.
Does she tell you the recipe?
No. Then I'd have to help her in the kitchen make it. I caught it, filleted it, vacuum packed it.
So it's so important to preserve these things and pass them down. I'm really trying to sell this here.
I'm sure I could recreate it if I had to.
No, it's not going to be the same.
You're right, because she makes it with love. I cook because I have to.
All right, so you tell your mother-in-law that I will happily go over and record her making this, assist in making this, so that we can preserve this knowledge so it doesn't die with her in 100 years from now.
It's a great idea. I might get a tasty macadamia nut crusted meal soon.
Same. I'm really trying to figure out how I can, and we won't share the recipe.
We'll have to wait till she comes back from vacation and she's rested.
And she's rested. She's going to need another vacation. She's going to want to preserve this knowledge for her grandchildren and great-grandchildren.
Yeah.
Need to have these things.
That's right. My daughter's taken a new interest in cooking recently rather than just baking. We can work this.
We could. I think we're totally going to sell this to her. We'll just send her this episode and just be like, look, it's how important it is.
Alana made meatloaf last night. She wants to make fish tonight.
There you go. Meatloaf is so good.
My favorite.
We have the weirdest conversations. So with the fishing and with all of the regulations, when talking to Denise, she was always like, my favorite question is if you had a magic wand. If you had a magic wand, what would you think we would need as far as regulations so that we could continue to have the sustainability? We would have the economic things that we needed.
You would have people that are making the decisions take a few trips out on a vessel before making decisions.
That's your magic wand. You
That's
would just be
my
like,
magic wand.
before you make a decision that affects my life, you should know what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah.
All right. That's a good magic wand.
I would take one trip on a vessel and learn how hard it is just to stand on it. Or, you pin the coast of California as all being the same, but anyone who's been on a boat knows that's just not true. If you go down south, it can be nice and glassy, and our best days of the year are their worst days down south, So
Jeez.
The fishing isn't the same on the coast.
So the conditions,
The
are you
conditions, yeah.
fishing for different things too up and down the coast?
Yeah, I mean, some of the stock is the same, but we certainly don't have lobster up here. If you want something better than crab, you have to go down south to get it.
That's very true. But by the time you get it home to cook it with the butter we no longer have, it's not fresh.
You got an Airbnb down south. There we lost tourism.
That's really expensive crab.
I don't know how we can get lobster to migrate north.
Maybe if we told them about our redwood trees. We got to get with the Chamber of Commerce and get that to happen. I'm sure they could market to the crabs or to the lobster to get them to come north.
I don't think they want to compete with the crabs. They're a little grouchy. They might rip a claw off.
That is true.
Somebody's going to fight for the space.
Crabs are little assholes.
I think there's a boundary.
There's a boundary. The lobsters are like, there's crab up there. Go no further.
That water's too cold. I'm not touching it. Let the morons take it. Those crabby ones, they got the attitude to deal with those cold temperatures.
It could be because we don't have any Krabby Patties up here. And the lobster, no. And there's not enough food because we have low weight crab.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. What do we have that we share as far as industries and things that could be caught here that can be caught? Because the length of California is just freaking huge.
Sure.
So what do we have that's the same? And where is the lobster cutoff?
I don't know where the exact lobster cutoff is. I know where where my husband catches it. Thanks, babe. Squid are caught coast-wide, but again, they prefer warmer waters, so mostly down south. But then they have the saying, May is for Monterey. I don't know what happens down there. We don't know enough about their breeding grounds. The pots were full of squid eggs this year, but no one really saw the squid here. They go all the way to Alaska, but commercial harvest quantities.
So wait, the squid that prefer warmer waters go to the frozen waters in Alaska.
Yeah, I guess it's like us. We migrate everywhere.
That makes sense.
But the majority of them are down south, or at least the fleet knows where to catch them down south. I'm sure the fleet knows where they are.
So they get the squid there. What all does your family fish for?
Crab, because steady. It's super, super sustainable. You're just catching the male, so they will go on forever.
I love how in most of those things we just eat the males.
Yeah, it's a great policy. I think we need less of them. Ask ranchers how they handle the boys. There's a way to solve the problem.
Our chicken farmers. No eggs from you. Bye-bye.
In the pot.
They don't even let them grow up.
I know. They're tastier. They get stringy when they get older, so you want to get them when they're
young.
I
mean, like in a hatchery, like the males just go into a shredder. They're hatched. That's a boy. They bred chickens to be able to tell when they hatch out of the eggs which one's a hen and which one's.
You can get a good deal once in a while from the hatchery if you want to buy the boys.
That's true.
The broilers are still good to eat.
Yeah. Those are different breeds than the ones that we grow for eggs.
Yeah, they're mutants.
We have so specialized in things and bred things to be so weird. Like you used to be, because I grew up in a farming community, you could get a chicken and grow it out, and if you didn't butcher it, then it was still okay. And now if you do that, legs break and it dies.
Oh, the broilers, yeah.
Yeah, because the chicken breasts are too large because that's what we want to eat, and their legs break and they fall over and they can't eat and they starve to death.
They have heart attacks.
Right, yeah. You have to butcher it within 4 to 6 weeks, and 6 weeks in one day, and you've lost your investment.
Yes.
Dead now.
I've tried that investment. It's a tough learning curve.
What breed did you get?
If I would have just butchered it yesterday.
So we talked a little bit about before, like when I was setting up about your garden, and you said something about that you don't grow sweet enough grass to eat the beef.
Yeah. I don't like to eat my goats, but my lamb is really tasty.
Okay. So you have goats and you have lambs and you have a garden and a greenhouse and all of the things, and you fish and
bees.
Bees. Good Lord, woman. No wonder you're busy and don't like to cook. So it sounds kind of like homesteading.
Yeah.
Is that what you're doing on as well?
Yeah. We actually looked up and down at every port on the West Coast and figured out the best place to raise children and thought this was it. So
you picked Del Norte?
We picked Smith River. Not just Del Norte. We wanted to get a little further north where once in a while there's more sun than right here.
So you didn't go far enough north, but you still ended up in California.
Yeah. I love the harbor, but it doesn't get much sun in town.
No, it really doesn't. But I kind of like that. But I'm also old and have the menopause.
Okay, so you're already a little depressed.
No, not depressed. Just always too hot.
Oh, yeah. It is chillier over here.
Yeah, I love it. Keep the windows open.
Yeah.
I'll have to close them and have people over, though, and turn on the heater, which sucks.
I know. There's like 4 days a year I need an air conditioner.
I have one.
I have a portable one.
There's a couple of days in the wintertime I turn on the air conditioner. It's just too hot. Okay, so why the homesteading? You married into the fishing. Was your husband into the homesteading too? Was that what you married into, or was it growing up in Montana watching Gilligan's Island that you were just like, oh, look what they can do with coconuts?
I think it was probably everything. I grew up growing some of our own food, hunting, raising our own food, tomatoes, potatoes, the essentials of life. And then I was like, oh, hell with this. I'm going to the city. And I went to the city, and then the hormones shift, and you're like,
the hell with
shit,
this.
it's time to have kids. This isn't okay. I got to go. I went back to the country. And then I met my husband, who has a passion and love for feeding people and the community and doing it all sustainably, and had done goats and pigs as well. And so we just he's like, yeah, babe, let's go get a goat. Let's go get chickens. And then he leaves me with them and goes fishing. So I don't really have a choice. I have to take care of them.
So you just got suckered in.
So I got suckered in, and then we had kids, and
that's
you start
love
realizing
right
that all your apples shouldn't look exactly the same. You know, the apple on my tree grows, they call it a scab. It's a fungus that the apples gets perfectly safe to eat. But if you sold that at Walmart, well, you couldn't. They would turn you down.
Yeah.
The health food store turns you down.
Yeah, it's apple scab. You get that on your potatoes and things too. They're still safe to eat.
But you can't sell it at any of our markets.
No, but you could get chemicals to spray.
You could. It was. What's interesting is I actually learned from our once local blueberry farmer about a lot of the organic and inorganic stuff. It's interesting how life comes circle, and you end up sitting on a board with somebody who educated you so much about organic farming.
Right. I had no idea he was the former. So go ahead and say who you're talking about. But he used to own the
Blueberry Hill.
Mm-hmm. So our blueberry patch where we all went to pick our blueberries.
So our local other harbor commissioner also has a love for farming as well. And once upon a time, it imparted some of that knowledge on Rich and I. He invited us out to the farm and taught us a lot about organic practices. And it really helped steer me down that path. Learning about using sea kelp and fish fertilizer on your plants locally. And so that's when it kind of geared me down that road of what are we putting on our food that we're feeding to our children.
Right.
And so we started, Rich and I, and
then putting into, like, some of these are forever chemicals and putting into our environment that it's going to stay there forever. And then they stay in us forever. So your children have what you ate and the chemicals that you ate. And we have microplastics found in placentas and in breast milk. That's always fun.
And we don't, currently they're talking about it because of the lily bulbs and the pesticides sprayed in Smith River. And most people that are local to the community are aware that the cancer rates within Smith River are a lot higher than the rest of the county. But if you drive up and down certain roads in the county, you're like, why are there so many autistic or handicapped children on this road in particular? And we lived on one of those roads growing up. So when I was pregnant, and Rich was like, you will not drink the well water from our house while pregnant, because it's weird how there's an incidence on this road of so many handicapped children, but 3 miles away, there isn't this problem.
So when it comes to this issue in particular, I honestly don't know how much of it that is local lore, how much of that we have documentation for that we can genuinely say this is the rates of that. It's 2% higher over here. It's 15% higher over there. And how much of that is just anecdotal. I really don't know. But I do know when I went to buy my house, I wouldn't look at homes in Smith River. And I always feel really bad for people who move here and buy a home in Smith River and have never heard anything about any of the pesticide exposure, or that it might be in the ground well, the well water, or that it might be too high in the river at some point in time during the rainy seasons, or any of those other things. But again, I don't know when it comes to this whole thing. I'm not a scientist. I don't know what the facts are, and I don't want to form an opinion based off of anecdotal evidence and because it feels icky. And it does. It feels icky. But again, I went home shopping and I would not look at a home. I was just like, no, Smith River's off the table.
Yeah, well, the road I lived on when I was pregnant actually wasn't in Smith River. It was in Fort Dick. So you can guess where those pesticides or chemicals are coming from. And it's not the cows. But currently, luckily, in all of the Lily Bulb and State Water Board's sampling of water, they did samples for 2 years. And the water at the edge of our property is the cleanest in
Oh, good.
So at least our water is clean where we're at. But it was alarming to watch how the pesticides, it was death in anywhere where those pesticides were. There were no bugs, no gopher mounds, no birds. And then across the street where there was no pesticides, it was this field of, flying gnats and blue herons and gophers at just 10 feet away. It's remarkable. So when we bought that first year, they sprayed and they had the white hazmat suits on. I thought, holy crap, what did we do? I had no idea. And then the Westbrooks bought the land and turned it into grazing land for their Oat Hill beef. And I was so thankful that they stopped spraying the pesticides, at least on our road. And we considered doing organic farming after doing that wonderful trip to Blueberry Hill. And I learned that in order to have organic in our area, you had to have these huge privacy fences that you could use as hedges. And I was like, okay, our neighbors have this giant 10-foot hedge and we have an 8-foot hedge. Maybe that's enough to prevent the overspray of pesticides from getting to our place. But I'd still have to have the soil sample just to potentially have organic blueberries. And I was like, oh my goodness.
Wow.
And I wasn't sure if I could sustain that on the years that they're sprayed even across the highway.
Jeez.
Because they're not supposed to spray on windy days. I know if you have beehives and you're registered, they're supposed to notify you on the days they spray so you can relocate your hives so they don't die. But it's a lot of work.
It's not just it's beyond just a lot of work, right? And then we're not talking about, overregulation and permitting and everything else, right? Because we trust the label of organic to be, these things aren't permitted and these things are. And then we get to make that choice if we want to pay extra for those services and the regulations and the going out and checking your farm and everything else. And then to make that so much more difficult because we that's our agricultural area. And then to anybody who wants to make that commitment and to do those things has to jump through even more hoops because of another industry's practices or another farmer's way of doing things is weird to me. It's just, right? Because if my business affects how you get to run your business and the expense it's going to cost, that doesn't seem, it's not even just equitable. It doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem ethical. It just doesn't.
Says every farmer across the nation.
Right? But so if we tied that back into fishing, if my running my fishing vessel was such a hindrance to your running your fishing vessel, right? Like whatever it was that my practices that I was doing made it so that you had to spend substantially more and it was more difficult for you. That's just not ethical. We don't typically do those things.
The fishing industry actually tries really hard not to do that. So the overlap with the fishing grounds, crab versus salmon, shrimp season comes up, the gear gets moved. So if you were in the deep or in those zones where the trawlers might catch a pot, you're supposed to move them. They know where the seasons are. And you also don't want to lose your gear. You spend a lot of money and time on it. Yeah. But the salmon fishery, we really haven't had one here in over a decade, but there's a teeny tiny one this year happening. But now they have all this ropeless gear out there. So you don't know where the gear is. I don't know where the gear is. You're going to go put some salmon guys out there and who's going to win?
Good Lord.
I don't know.
How do you...
Maybe we won't hear about it.
Maybe probably not.
Or maybe the window...
How do you have ropeless gear? How do you go back and get that?
They're not really ropeless. They're tied together. But instead of having each pot with ascending rope, they're tethered together in strings, and then there's one buoy at the end. And so you're pulling them all up in a chain, essentially. They're daisy chained.
Okay.
This is an easy way to explain it. And I think, I'm opposed to the pop-up gear for a bunch of reasons. Mostly, I get the concept, but the amount of whales that we take, the amount of whale death from it is proved to me. The last couple whales weren't from from fishing. The last one that they came up with that they claimed had fishing rope on it. They did the autopsy, and it was completely full of parasites and decomposing, and the rope happened to be on it.
Yeah.
How did that rope get there? Did it wash up on it as it was coming ashore? Did somebody put it on it? And no one can actually say. But they know
I'm
that
gonna go with nobody actually was like, oh look, this whale's half dead. Let me go find some fishing rope and then wrap it around the whale. But it does make sense if it's sick and it's dying, that it's scraping the bottom, because we know that they come up here and they rub in the seaweed and our kelp forest and then the rocks that we have and different things, and they pick up minerals, that it somehow got tangled and then rolled through it as it was being washed ashore.
maybe.
Yeah. But again, we have no idea.
We really have no idea how the rope ended up there, but they know the whale died of completely natural causes. When you hear about the story, that's not what was said.
No.
And then they never come back and say, the whale died of natural causes.
No.
And in this crab task force, there's numbers, and so you can only catch so many numbers. And so that whale, even though it's not related at all to the industry, is still going to take like a quarter of a whale to go towards our seasonal catch, even though we didn't have anything to do with it. The whale died of natural causes. So the industry still takes the hit for the rope being there, whether we put it there or not, whether the whale was dying and hit it because it was, half comatose, it doesn't matter. And I would like to see the numbers on the actual whales that are caught with rope on them. My understanding is a lot of them happen to be juvenile or young males, getting frisky and hormones and scraping and messing with the rope. But I could be wrong. I don't have all those numbers off the top of right here in front of me.
Right. Again,
and they're so modest. We're not talking about the shipping containers that hit and kill whales all the time. We're not talking about the East Coast with the wind farms and the electric currents killing whales. We're not talking about any of that. We're talking about crab rope ending up on whales, and them trying to persecute a whole industry over something that's not actually killing the whales.
Yeah.
That are at carrying capacity.
Jeez. So there's so many more topics here. And I know you have somewhere you need to be. So I would love to invite you back and to continue multiple conversations about all of these little issues, right? Because you have that grasp of the farming and the fishing and all of these little things with the regulations, their long-term effects. So we'd love to have you back. So let us know when you're available and if you're willing to do that.
Sure. Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. So this has been another episode of KFUG's Community Square with Harbor Commissioner Annie Nehmer. I am here in her personal capacity, not as a Harbor Commissioner. If you would like to be a guest on KFUG's Community Square, go ahead and email us at KFUG. No, sorry. The email is going to be communitysquare@kfuglp.org. Thank you, Annie. I look forward to talking to you again soon.